Good morning, students. In the last session, we studied about classification of economy on the basis of employment conditions. Now, another way of classifying economic activities into sectors could be on the basis of who owns assets and is responsible for the delivery of services. On that basis, the economy is divided into public sector and private sector. In the public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provides all the services. In the private sector, the ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of private individuals or companies. Let us see the features of the sectors. In the public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provides all the services. The purpose of the public sector is not just to earn profits. Social welfare is the main motive of the public sector. Governments raise money through taxes and other ways to meet expenses on the services rendered by it. Most of the services are free of cost and some of them are rendered at reasonable cost. In the private sector, ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of the private individuals or companies. Activities in the private sector are guided by the motive to earn profits. To get such services, we have to pay money to these individuals and companies. For example, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited or Reliance Industries, etc. Modern day governments spend on a whole range of activities. What are these activities? There are several things needed by the society as a whole, but which the private sector will not provide at a reasonable cost. Some of these need spending large sums of money, which is beyond the capacity of the private sector. Also, collecting money from thousands of people who use these facilities is not easy. Even if they do provide these things, they would charge a high rate for their use. Examples: construction of roads, bridges, railways, etc. Thus, governments have to undertake such heavy spendings and ensure that these facilities are available for everyone. There are some activities which the government has to support. The private sector may not continue their production or business unless government encourages it. Similarly, the government in India buys wheat and rice from the farmers at a fair price. Thus it stores in its godowns and sells at a lower prices to consumers through ration shops. There are large number of activities which are the primary responsibility of the government. The government must spend on this. Providing health and education facilities for all is one example. Running proper schools and providing quality education, particularly elementary education, is the duty of the government. It is also the duty of the government to take care of the poorest and most ignorant regions of the country through increased spendings in such areas. So, public sector investment is essential for the development of a nation.